Harimi, harimi, al tirai, harimi, al tirai. Imri le'arei Yehuda, hine Elokeichem. Harimi, harimi, al tirai.
I feel like I basically finished one thing.
Okay. Page 268 in the bilingual edition. We're in the middle of 118 in the Simanim of Rav Chaim Friedlander. What we've been discussing is evil, and how God creates evil, how a good God creates evil. And again, the purpose of evil is that so human beings overcome the evil and can earn reward, and a person becomes complete by overcoming the evil. And by becoming complete, we're similar to Hashem. And when we're similar to Hashem, we get closer to Him, and we can enjoy from His, we can get the ultimate enjoyment by being close to Him, which the main reward, as we know, is in Olam Haba, in the next world. So we talked about how Hashem creates evil. He doesn't actively create evil, because Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu miyached shma al hara, but rather He does something. He hides Himself a little bit. He has emanations that are based on His hiddenness. All evil in the world comes about from His hiddenness. So now the Ramchal is going to go and talk more about this idea of Ulam. Tiskari ata es asher zacharti lach l'mal kfar. Remember what I mentioned to you already. The sticker about you haven't. Eich mostos kol an hagasa yizbarach shemo yizbarachem shtei midos. How everything is based on two attributes of Hashem: Hester upon Him, Hashem hiding Himself; Va'aras upon Him, and Hashem letting Himself be seen. His, let's call it revelation. I don't know this. Could see it. And what comes out of them, the results of these, is completeness and deficiencies. So the result of Hashem shining His countenance is completeness. The result of Hashem withholding His countenance, or ki'ilu hiding Himself, is deficiencies. Umina hatovara, and from that comes good and evil. So good is based ultimately on Hashem revealing Himself, and evil is based on Hashem hiding Himself. Amnam. Mitzius hara eino nailat ela me'otzim hester upon Him. Evil itself only comes about from a great hiding of Hashem's face. Kilu. Tachlis, His statro yizbarach. If Hashem wanted to create a being with a soul and a body, like we see today, we all have souls and bodies. And regarding this body and soul, Hashem always used these two separate attributes: midas hester upon Him, and midas ha'aras upon Him, the hiding Himself and revealing Himself. Leos eiches bezeh v'gam mizeh al tanach yado l'kayim kol tchunaisav shel adam l'tayva hachalashus v'achazakos hanichbados v'ashvalos kol ma shetzarich l'kiyumo lefi atachlis hamechuven bo. So saying that to create, that it should be human beings in all of their different situations that they find themselves in, whether it's weakness or strength, or being honored or being lowly, everything that is needed for the existence of these different situations is based on these two attributes of Hashem: Him revealing Himself and Him hiding Himself. Now, he's going to tell us something that, okay, I'll let him say it. I don't have to give an introduction. Now, we need to know one introduction. Don't say, we just said, that all deficiency in evil is based upon Hashem hiding Himself. But he says, don't think that just because something is deficient means it's evil. He's going to explain. Something could have deficiencies, even though it's not total good. It's not evil. So even though something could be totally not good, it could also not be evil. Go see the angels. The angels have deficiencies. Because they're not the ultimate perfection. The only being in anything ever that is totally perfect is God. So angels, therefore, are not totally perfect. So therefore, angels have deficiencies. Not only that, but there are different levels of angels. There are higher angels, lower angels, right? But you wouldn't call angels evil. The second level is lower than the first level. The chaser meno is more lacking than it. But you couldn't say the deficiencies in angels are so much that they're called evil. Angels are not called evil. Right? Angels, there's no jealousy amongst the angels. There's no hatred amongst the angels. They don't have a Yetzer Hara. There's no force that's pushing them to do evil. They don't get tired. They don't get weak. They don't get sick. They don't die. Now, human beings, they are lower than the angels. And they have more deficiencies. And the deficiencies in them are so powerful that you could have in human beings things that are evil. Why? Because all of us, we have a Yetzer Hara. So all human beings have in themselves something which is evil. Doesn't mean human beings are evil. They have sickness and death. Human beings get sick. That's a type of evil. It's based on Hashem hiding himself. Misa, for sure. Then you have animals. They're even lower than animals. Animals are lower than human beings. They don't have any intellect and they don't have any speech. He's saying they have a lower level soul. They're spiritually dirty. Right? There are certain people that treat animals holier than human beings, but that's not the case, as we know. Now even lower. You have certain evil angels. We call them angels. They're really certain forces of impurity. Veruchos, hatuma, and again, spiritual impurity. Shehem ramamish. They're literally evil. And then the exact opposite of goodness and completion. Osam Shashem Elyon Baruchu Mis'ala Mehem Helam Gomer. And these are beings which Hashem totally hid himself from. So the total evil comes about from the total hiddenness of Hashem. Kitam, as it says, Eina Kadosh Baruch Hu Miyachad Shmal Ra. Hashem does not put his name on evil. So he's saying that even though everything in the world was created from Hashem revealing himself and from him hiding himself, and when Hashem hides himself, that brings deficiencies into the world. So we're saying deficiency doesn't mean evil. There's different levels. There's different levels of how Hashem hides himself. When it comes to the angels, there's very little hiddenness, but they are deficient because they're not Hashem. Hashem is the only perfect being. Below that we have human beings. Human beings have a holy neshama, but we also have a Yetzer Hara. We have something which tries to get us to do evil. And then below that we have animals. They don't have any. They have a certain soul which is a life force, but they don't have a neshama, and they don't have. It seems that you see this in the Rambam, I believe, that it's like the seichel, which is what brings a person to holiness, right? Using his mind a person using their mind to overcome their natural bodily desires and their seichel. So an animal doesn't have a mind, doesn't have speech. No offense to your cat, but it doesn't have the ability to overcome that those negative spiritual forces. And he sounds like there's something zuama, there's something very, it's like a type of impurity that exists by animals that human beings are on a higher level. And then even lower than that, then you have things which are really evil. There are such things as evil spiritual forces, mazikim, demons, shadim, things like that. So there are different levels. So just because something is deficient doesn't mean it's evil, but deficiency does eventually lead to evil in many cases. I think the Rabbi Naaman in Derech Hashem translated shalshelas in this context as concantation, which I never knew that word before, so it doesn't really help me here. But there's a chain, right? There's many spiritual levels that Hashem first hides himself, and then it goes down level, down to the lower level, down to the lower level, until eventually all those deficiencies in the lower levels produce evil. When this chain, and deficiency is added to deficiency, sof, yolad mashu ra mamish, you're eventually going to have evil. V'hine, Kodem shechidish ha'odem baruchu mitzius ha'anhaga shechidish l'tzarech ha'nimtzayim lai inyan l'shum chisaron klal. Before Hashem made the existence, there was no place for deficiencies at all because it was just Hashem. Just Hashem. It's not possible to have deficiencies. Ukeshechidish mitzius halazeh. When Hashem made this creation, nimtza shenischadish mitzius seder echad shebishtal shel yolira. When Hashem made this world, He made a certain one of these chains that is going to produce evil. And since there existed certain deficiencies, it would eventually produce real evil. Let's do one more paragraph. One of the main things that Hashem set up, that there should be certain boundaries. When before Hashem created the world and it was just Hashem, there are no different levels. It's just Hashem. But when Hashem made the world, He made that there could be different levels of different things. As a kol tikin b'mida, and everything had its particular measurement and its particular amount. The hizder kol anim tzois ba'drag, and He made all of the world on these different levels. This one underneath, min harishon shebehem, ad ha'achron shebehem, from the first to the last. V'chol madrega madad b'mida. So in every level He counted, measured specifically, kama chisaron yeheba v'kama yishar ba min hatova tikun, how much deficiencies were in each level and how much was required to rectify it. Ukfi hamida hanimdedes kach heim tolos hanaz ben madrega. According to these levels and these measurements that Hashem made, that based what's going to come out of it. V'chol mishpateim v'chol chukasim, and all of their laws and all of their characteristics. Kol kashel kol ish al makamo. Everything in its right place. So basically we learned that everything that Hashem made, the good and evil, it's based in His revealing Himself or hiding Himself. Evil, its source, is Hashem hiding Himself, and He didn't directly create it, but indirectly, as we learned. And just because something has deficiencies doesn't mean that it's evil.